Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Goodman, Director of Marketing and Development for the YMCA of Northwest Louisiana, and we're here at 318 Latino Studios for Shreveport-Bossier, my city, my community, my home. And our very special guest today is Greg Lott. So, Greg, thanks for making the time and being here today.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to hop into your very involved and interesting world. So you're involved in so many aspects of our community, Greg, as involved as anyone I know. So let's start with your professional life and then move into some of the work you do as a board member with other organizations.
Sounds great.
You are, and if I get anything wrong today, just please feel free to clarify. You are the Executive Vice President and Northwest Louisiana Division President of Progressive Bank.
Yes, sir.
Let's start, if we could, just by you telling us how you first got involved in the world of banking.
Okay, it's an interesting story. In 1986, in my spring quarter at Louisiana Tech, I had decided that I wanted to do something other than construction work that summer, and I was enjoying my time there in Ruston, Louisiana. So I walked into Ruston State Bank on Trenton Street and told them I was looking for some part-time work, and they sent me upstairs, and I met with a lady by the name of Kitty Miller, and we talked for about 5 minutes, a little chat, no application, no resume, no references, no background history. She said, "Can you start right now?" And I said, "Well, that would be great. What I'm ready. What am I going to do?" And so she escorted me to the vault, introduced me to the young lady who was running the vault operation. So that was my start in banking. I was majoring in forestry at the time, and thought I was just going to do this for the summer, and maybe would continue the work in the fall the next year, and continue the path of forestry school. But got to know a lot of the staff, and like anything else, a minister I had one time, he would ask the question, "What do you know for sure when you see a box turtle on a fence post?" And when he asked that question the first time, I didn't know, but I use this question from time to time. That turtle didn't get there by himself. Somebody put him up there. And what I found in my banking career, I can always look back at all the people that have invested in me, and I try to play that forward to this day with the young folks that I hire. But as luck turned out, about 6 months into my banking job, the young lady who was running the department decided she was going to move with her family to Seattle. So Mr. Maxwell, who was the CEO, he came to the vault, knocked on the door. I'm scared to death. And he said, "Greg, congratulations, you're going to run the vault operations for Ruston State Bank." So, "Well, Mr. Maxwell, I do this part-time capacity. I'm here to go to school, get an education. I want to do other things." He said, "Understand, can you be here at 7 in the morning to open up, and can you be here at 6 o'clock in the afternoon to close up?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, you figure out how you do the other things in between." So, roughly 6 months in, I became a full-time employee, worked part-time hours, and so I spent the next 4 years there while I was continuing my education. About 2 years in, I decided that maybe I needed to move from the School of Forestry to the School of Business, and that's where I switched my major to finance and accounting. So that's a long answer to your short question.
I'm glad you didn't ask me the question about the box turtle. I would have missed it, and we would have clearly seen the limit of my intelligence.
Yeah, they're typically overweight and don't have the claws to make their way up a fence post.
Love that. All right, so I pulled a quote from you, Greg. You once said, "If you look at our profession, banks exist to help people. They exist to help businesses grow, and they exist to help people. They exist to help improve our community. I think collectively we all do a good job to meet those needs." Talk to me about Progressive Bank. I know we have a number of different banks in our community. Does each bank have its own core business? And if so, what is Progressive's main focus and area of expertise?
All right, well, thank you. Well, first I would tell you, in banking, it's a pretty close network. Most of us have worked together in various capacities or volunteered together, so it's friendly competition. there's really not much difference in banking services and products. So if you look at the entire gamut between big banks, small banks, pretty much the same products and services. The only differentiating factor are the people. So it's typically a lot of that's based on personalities. A lot of it's based on people that you're serving with. But when I think about Progressive Bank, what I try to instill in all my young people is we want to become trusted advisors. We want to be more than just financial services. We want to be there for you when you're planning, your daughter's wedding, or when you're planning. Unfortunately, there are bad things. There's fires, there's tragedy, there's setbacks. So, we want to be there to provide that type of sometimes it's just being a good listener, but to give advice through the whole gamut of your business. And a lot of times it's providing startup capital. A lot of times it may be an expansion. Maybe it's a management buyout. But I explain in my new role in community banking that back years ago, we would all get the big phone book, that was 2 inches thick and, thousands of names in there. Well, I explained to the young bankers that there's something that we can do from A to Z for everyone in this community. Now, there are those in our community that have had financial problems. So maybe it's a credit builder program that we offer. Maybe it's a second chance checking. But there are sweet spots within community banking, what we do. And I would describe that as an entrepreneur or business professional. But we do have just regular consumer banking. We have mortgage lending. We have treasury management. We have the big thing now is fraud management with positive pay and doing things to avoid having there's criminal elements that are out there that are always trying to take our money. So to protect our clients. But back to the sweet spot with an entrepreneur, we might bank their business. Let's potentially would bank a lot of their employees. That entrepreneur may have a camp, they may have a beach home, they may have hunting property. There's numbers of different things that they do. So we try to partner with folks that have lots of moving parts and try to bank all of those parts, and then they make good referral sources for us as well. But I would tell you there's nobody in this market that we couldn't bank, that we couldn't provide some level of service to.
That's great.
But you asked too, an interesting question when that quote, and I don't remember when I made that quote, but that is the one key aspect that I do love about banking is helping other people. And then as we talk about other organizations today, and you look at their mission statements, it's pretty much that bubbles up within all these organizations. It's about helping and helping others and lifting others up and eliminating gaps. And that's one of the things that I take a lot of pride in banking.
And we're about to talk about how large of a role you play in that. So I'm very appreciative and grateful for all you do. So as I mentioned earlier, you're deeply involved in giving back to this community. Let's talk about some of the organizations with whom you work, beginning with NLEP or the North Louisiana Economic Partnership.
Yes.
I know there's new leadership in NLEP and that they're involved in numerous great initiatives. Talk to me about NLEP, if you could, and why this organization is important for the betterment of our community.
All right. First, I would just say economic development should be important to all of us. I try to start every day with thinking, how am I going to attack this day with enthusiasm? And, being a positive outlook has a lot to do with economic development. How do you present the city? How do you present the region? And there are so many positive things here that we often, just take for granted or they're just there and we don't see them like fresh eyes that come in. So Justin Dixon was hired as our new president and CEO about a year and a half ago. And he's come in, he's pointed out a lot of things that, I knew we had, but I don't think about it from an economic development perspective. But we have two interstates that intersect.
Let me just interrupt one second. Part of that is just piggybacking off of what you said, Justin came in with fresh eyes from outside. Justin's not from here.
No, he's from Mississippi.
Okay.
From Mississippi. He was ran a REIT there, and they developed industrial space all throughout the Southeast. Very successful. He came here on a couple of different trips, just looking around, and these are some of the things that he pointed out to the group that was recruiting him. He said, there's no reason that we shouldn't win every time. You got I-20, you have I-49, you have a river for commerce, you have 2 rail systems here. All these things are what you need to move goods and services. You're within a 8-hour drive from Austin, Houston, Dallas-Fort Worth, Memphis, Atlanta, all these mega centers that are growing, and we could be manufacturing right here, and you can put it on rail, you put it on the cargo on the river, you can put it on a truck, and again, in 8 hours you can be in all of these places. He pointed out the quality of life, all the restaurants that we have, and how quick you can get from South Bossier to North Shreveport, or you could get from Houghton to Greenwood Road all in 15 minutes, and that's a wonderful thing. I love the recreational aspect that we have here. I love the fact that we have a thriving YMCA that's growing and putting in new resources for our children. And it's my hopes that when I think about economic development, that it's the tide that lifts all boats. So if you think about whether they put a new industry in the cyber center in Bossier City, that's great. Everybody within the Minden wins, Bossier wins, Shreveport wins, Coshada wins. People drive here every day from Marshall, Texas, from South Arkansas, whether it's in the port of Caddo Bossier. I mean, everybody within the region wins. I mean, and when we bring in some of these really big employers that, depending on payroll, sometimes we're told by consultants people will drive 100 miles. You can get that same 100 miles here, in an hour and 10 minutes that may take you 3 hours to get 15 minutes in Houston. That's another thing that we so often take for granted. But NLEP is a 14-parish region. It's a big territory. It goes from Caddo Parish to Ouachita Parish down to Natchitoches Parish. So it is a challenge being everywhere. But what's great about our organization, they point out all the various industrial parks. And again, if it's in Natchitoches, we win. We have a big medical hub here. Well, a lot of things you can't get in Natchitoches Parish. So we have the resource here in Caddo Bossier. But for me, economic development is in everything that we do. If we don't, that tide that doesn't raise all boats, then we have educational issues because we're losing funding because our population's going down. From a medical resource, hospitals, they need folks coming in. Our hotel, motel industry, we need new industry coming in with robust business travel. So all those things are all driven by economic development and growth.
And I know we're in great hands with Justin, and things are moving in a very positive direction with NLEP.
Extremely, and he points out there are probably 20, 30 young entrepreneurs here. They could live anywhere they want to, but they choose to be here, and they're making investment here every day.
Love it. All right, let's shift to another organization where you're involved. You're involved with DSDC, or the Downtown Shreveport Development Corporation.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me, if you could, about DSDC, and similar to above, why this organization is vital to the future success of this community. All
right, so DSDC is essentially our downtown area. It's the not-for-profit arm of the Downtown Development Authority, which is, they're both managed by Liz Swain. And, I think of Liz as the head cheerleader and the energizer bunny of downtown. And she's great. She works hard. She promotes everything downtown. So DSDC, we have the ability, if somebody wants to donate a property, they can do that through DSDC. We can make repairs, renovations, convert the property, whatever needs to be done, and we can put it back in commerce. We can sell it, or we can rent it, or, our goal is to get things back on the tax roll. One thing that I would mention, the Drip Donut. We were a small part of their success in taking that building and helping with the renovations. And that family's moved in there, and I think it's doing extremely well. They had a successful business model all along, but we were a small player in that. You've got Andy Sheehy and a group that have just renovated 2 buildings across from the old bus station. That's going to be a restaurant and cafe. I believe it's the Glass Hat that's supposed to open. Andy mentioned to me at Rotary on sometime early May. Another thing that I would mention that we've had facade grants and other things that we've done for all the businesses in downtown. Just recently, we planted a lot of new trees where the ice storm had taken them out over time. We provide simple things like graffiti removal. But these are all things we think are critically important to keeping things looking nice downtown. And Liz is always coming up with new and creative ways to make downtown more attractive for people to work, play, and live.
Yeah, I know how important a strong downtown is to this community, and I think the world of Liz. So I'm super happy to have her in that position, and excited about everything that's happening down there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're also the current vice president and president nominee of Rotary. What is the role, just for those who are unfamiliar or don't know as much as they should, what's the role, in your opinion, that Rotary's playing in our community?
Well, Rotary, by very definition, is service above self. So it's about doing for others. We end every meeting with a 4-way test. The first question is it the truth? The second question, will it be fair to all concerned? The third, will it be beneficial and build better friendships? So, it's about building relationships, and there's roughly 225 members. That number kind of expands and contracts, but meet every Tuesday. There's an international goal of eliminating polio, but right here at home we do numerous activities. One that we just did recently, we give scholarships to our 5 universities, and we have the recipients come and talk to the club on that particular day. That's always very rewarding to hear how they've been impacted by that scholarship and their plans. We give out community grants and a lot of programs that you've had on your show and that we all know and love. But what I really enjoy too is getting to know more about our community. We have a speaker every Tuesday, and there are things that I have learned that I wouldn't have known outside of Rotary, and I've got friends that I probably wouldn't have made outside of Rotary. I have gotten bad here, after being a member for about 20 years. I finally have my table where I sit every week, and I know we try to be intentional about moving people around, but we have a tendency, like we do at our church, finding our pew and having our table. But it's a great organization. I enjoy the international goals that are established every year, and I love serving with my friends on various things here locally.
And this is downtown Rotary, right?
It's a downtown Rotary Club, yes.
And we have maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 different
I think there's 7 or 8 in Shreveport, maybe 2 in Bossier.
Okay.
And there's a new one, I think, being formed in North Shreveport.
Okay, great. And you guys are currently meeting at the convention center, is that right?
We meet in the Hilton restaurant.
Okay.
We had met for years in the convention center, but COVID kind of, when we closed for about 90 days, and then we were back face to face, and we didn't need as big a facility, so started meeting there. But we felt like we were the downtown Rotary Club, and we need to continue to meet downtown.
Definitely. And this isn't one of my questions, but it should have been. I'm always curious when I meet someone like you who is as involved as you are, and just with what you said, service above self. Someone clearly at some point in your life instilled that giving back is important, that service is important. I'm always curious where that comes from in different people. So how did you learn that? When were you first aware that, hey, that's going to be a big part of my life moving forward, and it needs to be, and I want it to be, and I'm passionate about it?
I would say my parents were excellent role models and always involved with both. Parents taught Sunday school. My dad was real involved with the Lions Club in Minden. He always ran the recreational organizations. So had a father who was a high school principal when I was younger. That was back in the years where they didn't have to work during the summer, so he always ran the recreational departments. And we'd have a day on Wednesday. We'd go to Caney Lake, and he'd drive the bus, and so he was always involved with youth sports, with the Lions Club, and various other things in Minden. And my mom was always involved in everything at First Baptist Church of Minden.
Right.
But I learned some of it too in college when I got in my fraternity days, and we volunteered for a lot of things as well. And when I spent a little time in Natchitoches, I got involved with the JCs. That was kind of a younger organization similar to Rotary, and we had a big initiative with the Toys for Tots, where we would solicit for children all throughout Natchitoches Parish, and would buy new toys and have refurbished toys that we'd deliver there for the week before Christmas every year.
Wonderful. So I'm a zoom out a little bit. I want to talk more globally about the community. My first question is just for someone who sees as much as you see and is around as much as you're around. As you look around at our community, what are some of the things that concern you the most?
Well, I don't like to really refer to them as concerns. I would just say there's room for improvement.
Okay.
I know our mayor spoke at a luncheon I was at today. He's taken a lot of pride in our city, and, we all need to embrace that we love Shreveport. And just the litter problem that we have here. If we would just all pick up behind ourselves, that would be an easy win for us. But the violent crime, and I don't have the answers to it, but I do know it's a problem. We hear about it every single week. Maybe it's that we need to start with our education system on how to work through solve your problems without having to go violent to fix those things. So that's one. I think we still have an outflux of our young talent that are moving to some of these other larger money centers, and we have to do our part to create, back to the economic development, to create these jobs where we get folks that want to stay here. We're doing a lot of things well, but those are some things that we could probably spend a little more time on. I know our sewage system. There's some major issues there, and the mayor, he's got big plans on how he's going to go about fixing all those things, and I'm excited about our future. And I feel like you have to at least acknowledge that there's some things that need to be worked on. And we're hearing that from the mayor, that he's got them on his list. And, there are areas in town that have not seen improvements in years. And there's some choice city grants where new neighborhoods are being developed. They have areas that are blighted that they're going in and they're taking some of those old buildings down that should have been taken down years ago. But all those things kind of contribute to the violence piece. If you have old buildings that are not being maintained, and you have trash and things that aren't being removed, that invites that type of criminal element in.
Absolutely. And my final question, we can talk about other things too, is just sort of the other side of that question. As you look around, what are some of the things that give you the most hope, or make you the most optimistic, or excite you the most about the trajectory in which the community is moving?
Well, if you look at some of the wins that we've had recently with Amazon, the plant that's getting close to an open date, Prolic GE that was just announced yesterday, a $30 million expansion with 153 new jobs, and they said the average pay would be in the $60,000 range. We need the things that are happening out at the Port of Caddo-Bossier. It gives me hope. The things that I hear, at the Cyber Innovation Center. But the other thing that gives me hope, with Justin coming in, I feel a spirit that everybody's collaborating and working together, unlike we have in years past. We did a study at Committee of 100 4 years ago and found that there were 19 different economic development organizations in Shreveport-Bossier. Wow. And we found that everybody was kind of in different swim lanes and working in different silos, and nobody was really working together. And as business leaders said, we need to help solve for that. And we tried to have various things where we bring all the economic development groups together in a spirit of let's work together and win some deals. And we're seeing that. So, if we all start working together, the early education initiatives that John Dean and others are working on here in the community, we feel like, if you can get everybody up to the right grade level when they enter into kindergarten, that will be a bright spot for us as well. So you got to start somewhere with baby steps sometimes, but working together, getting the early education initiatives out there and getting everybody on track when they start kindergarten, I think are two bright spots for us.
And there's so many aspects of you I could cover and so many aspects of your world I could cover. Is there anything else that we didn't address today or anything else you'd want to mention or talk about? We got all the time in the world. So,
Man, I'm just thankful what you're doing and what the YMCA is doing to promote the positive messages that things that are going on. There are others that are doing that now. For years, we just focus on the negative things, and there are tremendous schools here. My wife is an educator at South Highlands Magnet School. It's a world-class blue ribbon school. There's others here, and you may get in an elevator with somebody that talks about, well, maybe but it's going great. I mean, the perfect ACT test scores that are generated here every year. So we got great public schools, got great private schools on both sides of the river. It's to me, we talked about junior achievement and the little mentor lunch that they do, and I've been doing that for, I guess, 4 or 5 years, however long they've been doing it. And when I get to sit now with 8 or 10 sophomores or juniors in high school, and I hear about their plans and what they want to do, and that they want to come back here, it gives me hope that, hey, we're training them up the way they should go, and a lot of them are planning on coming back here and contributing.
Well, Greg, this community's super lucky to have you. I don't even know how you do half of what you do, but thanks for making the time to be here, and please keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you. Yes,
thanks,
sir.
Greg.